Herzlich willkommen zur Verleihung des Deutschen Jugendliteraturpreises 2022. Wir begrüßen Vivian Perkovic, die Moderatorin des Abends.
Ist das schön, Sie zu sehen?
It's great to see you all here in Frankfurt in the Harmony Room. And I'm glad that so many of you are watching us via the live stream. Welcome to the award ceremony of the German Children's Book Award 2022. We have almost as many people here as prior to the pandemic, but almost after the pandemic is in the midst of another crisis, the war. But reading books is a cozy thing. Olena Zelensky, the wife of the Ukrainian president, who will be here tomorrow, she initiated a project where refugee Ukrainian children receive 5 children's books. Their fathers, brothers, uncles who did not come here together with their children, they can record themselves via an app and reading these books, and the children can then listen to this via this app. Better Time Stories, it is called. And better times, or rather, how do you reach better times through phases of uncertainty, fear, dealing with yourself and society? A lot of the nominated children's and young adults books refer to this. And we will award the award soon. And this year, we talk about literanauts. And they will bring the names of the award winners, and the statue Momo and the literanauts are here. They represent 8 reading clubs all over the world, and it is subsidized by the Federal Ministry for Family, Senior Citizens and Youth, and by the Waldemar Bonzels Foundation. Kids and young adults then are turned into book enthusiasts, and 3 literanauts support me today. Please, a big hand for Anton from the Pankower Book Club, from the Karl von Ossietzky School in Berlin, Pia from Jule Book Club in Weimar, and Rosalie from the Heidelberg Book Club. Anton, how do you try to make others enthusiastic about reading? Well, we presented videos with the nominated books, and many of my friends watched the videos and immediately wanted to read the books. And this is how we try to distract other young people away from the mobile phone to reading books. By using the mobile phone. Well, yes. But Anton, sometimes you have to use their weapons in order to be successful. And the Federal Ministry has a website for children, and this is where you upload the videos, right? Exactly. Pia, you do something else using an app as well. It's about book caching. This is a treasure hunt in cooperation with the city of Weimar. Well, book caching, all school libraries take part and invite people to get to know the library and give good tips for books. And you hide the books, well, yes, in the city library of Weimar, and then we give hints how the books are to be found on the shelves. This is how children learn about how to find their way about in the library. Well, no problem, no problem. I'm always looking for words as well, so it's not a problem. Rosalie, you go to the child with a book, and since 2020 you've been bringing books to kindergartens. Yes, this is what we do, and we read the books together with the children, but we also meet beforehand and prepare something for the kids, some events we have together with the kids. For example, drawing a picture or a performance or music for the book. Well, this way you get to know the books even better and the children you work with. And some schools even use it in the school as such. And I'm glad that you can pass on your enthusiasm for books, and I'm glad to have you here tonight. I will see you later on again. And when we get started with the award ceremony, but first of all, the chairman of the Association for Children's and Youth Literature would like to welcome you. This association hosts the award ceremony and everything around it, and they want to support the children's and young adults literature, and the chairman is Rolf Schweikart. Welcome. Nominees, Minister, oh, this is rather high. The microphone. Minister Paus, Ms. Schmidt-Friedrichs, Mr. Boos, dear guests. As chairman of the Association for the Children's and Youth Literature, I'm very glad to welcome you here to the award ceremony of the German Children's Book Award 2022. I'm glad about the special support on part of Buchmesse Frankfurt, without whom such an award ceremony wouldn't be possible. And I'm very glad that the Minister for Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth will be here today to hand over the awards. A very warm welcome to you. And I'm glad to see so many visitors here, many of them nominees from all over the world. A warm welcome to you as well. Well, I don't have a lot of more good news regarding the global crisis and the raging war in Europe. Bad news reaches every day, and they affect also the generation following us, our children. If our world were a rented flat, we would never find a new tenant voluntarily taking it over in this dreary state. But we mustn't lose hope. A hope that is to be found in the phrases of different times. Let us start with the children in order to return this confused world into its balance, because the children will show the adults the way. These phrases come from Jella Leppmann and are part of her book, The Lady with the Books. This remarkable woman and founder of IBI, the International Board on Books for Young People, was Jewish, and in 1936 she fled to England. In 1945 she returned to Germany, which was in ruins. And with unshakable activity, she made sure that apart from food, intellectual nourishment reached the exhausted country of Germany, because she was convinced if we can believe in a peaceful living together of nations, children's books will be the first messengers of peace. And for the first children's books exhibition in Munich, she asked for colorful, diverse and open-minded children's books from the countries that had waged war against Germany in the years before. All countries sent books, with the exception of one country, Russia. 77 years later, Jella Leppmann's words are not an old hat but more topical than ever. We would like so much to give this magic power to the children with books in order to correct the world. And we have many international and national titles on the list of nominees of the German Children's Books Award. A Ukrainian non-fiction book next to a Russian book, and this is what the world should be like, a world where respect and tolerance determine action rather than imperialistic striving for power, lies and misinformation. If you defend the freedom of the word and literature, specifically for children, must not withdraw an inch today. Not when it comes to the rulers of the world who, because of megalomania, sent their children into dreadful wars or tried to suppress protest on the road with violence. Not because of those who, in confusing sentences, think there is a world conspiracy, and not because of people who, because of their clothes, color of skin, or origin, are threatened and are exerted to violence. Now, let us trust today that children will be the messengers of peace for a peaceful living together of nations. It is absolutely necessary.
Before I thank you for your attention, I would like to make two personal comments. One is, at this point, let me say thank you to the many publishers of children's books and institutions which have been so quick and unbureaucratic to make things possible. For example, supporting the kids coming from Ukraine. And on the other hand, there is a word of thank you for the person who has given us visibility in children's books, especially in the group, working group on children's literature, and passing on the baton. Thank you very much, Roswitha. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Ralf Schweikart. The book trade, which is working very hard and is very committed, is grappling not just with the consequences of the pandemic, but also the lack of paper and the prices of paper. But being together again at the Frankfurt Book Fair, that's silver lining, really. Light at the end of the tunnel, says Ms. Schmidt-Friedrichs, who is the chair of the German Association of German Book Trade. Thank you, Ms. Perkovic, and Minister Lisa Paus, der Ralf Schweikart, der Jürgen Boos, der Doris Breitmoser, dear jurors, participants of the reading competition, dear friends of good children's books, young adult books. I would like to start with the positive things, despite all the worries. Children's books, young adult books are really have a winning trend, have a success story. This pandemic has been a sales booster for this target group, and I'm not surprised that in these difficult times, young adults and children and their parents have used the book, because the book is an ideally placed to escape reality, to delve into dream worlds, to go to faraway places, and to make friends with these characters while you were only able to meet your own friends very rarely. So this is really the wind behind us, and I'm really convinced that the special magic which is spreading over kids will be firmly anchored in the hearts and minds, even though, and this brings me to your questions, the challenges of the coming winter will be quite something else, will be really much harder than last winter. I'm standing here, hopefully my mother is not listening. I succumbed to the attractions of reading as a small child until deep into the night. I'm not sure about the young adolescents we've just seen. My mum always told me, you will switch off the light at so-and-so, such an hour. I never did. When parents came back in, I switched off the lights very quickly, and I thought I was a good actress, and hopefully they would leave very quickly, and I could then carry on reading. Who needs sleep when you can read? But then I was always surprised that my mom actually knew better, and I only understood this much later in the physics class, because my night lamp was made of metal, and I would like to recommend you not to do that, because metal will really conduct heat and also store heat. So please don't use a metal lampshade. Use something else. And the books I was reading then really shaped my development, and I'm reading the first ones to my first grandchildren now. And it is also based on studies and also observing my grandkids. And I see that people who've been reading at an early age, so who have put themselves in the shoes of other characters, fought with them, hoped, suffered, and laughed with them, will be living through their lives with more empathy. And how important empathy is for good coexistence is reflected in schools, in your friends, and also in your family, but also in the context of the current world situation. And therefore, I sincerely hope that the trend will continue, that more and more young people will pick books to pass their time, and not just to pick them, but also read them with a keen interest, and that as many young readers become passionate adult readers. And this award makes a contribution because the jury looks closely at what the market has on offer, and the illustrators and the translators make a contribution by producing more stories. Booksellers also make a contribution by making recommendations, and they do not leave any stone unturned, bringing books to people. And so you all contribute to this by giving the young adult and children's books a scenery, which, by the way, and a stage which is well set today. And I would like to thank all the projects and workshops, for example, the reading competition and others, and they are all part of this enthusiasm for books. I would like to congratulate the shortlisted authors, especially, of course, the winning books, and all the stakeholders. Let us together celebrate diversity, relevance, and the radiance of children's books. Thank you, Karin Schmidt-Friedrichs, chair of the German Association of the Book Trade. And of course, there is someone missing in this enthusiasm team, which is the host of the book fair, but also for the award ceremonies, the director of the Frankfurt Book Fair, Jürgen Boos. Welcome. Good evening. Ms. Perkovic, I think you're wrong. If I look here, it's much more than before the pandemic. It's more people. And also about the apps, let me say the second app, I would like that, because I always get lost in the city library, normally towards the books which are above 18, and I didn't find my way back. So, Ms. Minister Lisa Paus, Ms. Schmidt-Friedrichs, I also have a recommendation for you. My mom actually always pulled the fuse, so I had to spend all my pocket money for torches, and there was not much money left for books. Mr. Schweikart, dear jury, dear authors, dear audience, dear book enthusiasts, I am very glad to see that the Frankfurt Book Fair can be the partner and stage for the German Children's Book Awards, and that we meet here again because presence makes for understanding. And based on this year's motto, Translate, Transform, Transfer, we are convinced that the book industry can contribute to better communication, better understanding, as Mr. Schweikart says, in society, but be it through translating from one language to the next, by solidarity with bookmakers in exile, or by appreciating children's books, as we do here. And this is also the truth for the locomotive. It's a locomotive for the book fair. 45% of all the deals are done on the back of children's books. So we offer a good stage for the great export. because we have a Frankfurt Kids Festival, and the visitors will also find not just German publishers, but also publishers from all over the world, US, Asia, Poland, Hungary, Spain, France, and so on and so forth. But our guest of honor, Spain, also has some children's and young adult books in its new editions, which you find over in the pavilion. Spain is also amongst the nominees for this year's award with the young adult novel, The Secret of My Turban. And I also would like to appreciate the entries from Ukraine, Sweden, France, Norway, the UK, and the Netherlands. And these international publications reach over to us through translations. That's why translate, transfer, transform is very relevant. Greetings from Frankfurt, from the Frankfurt Book Fair. Congratulations also. Thank you, Jürgen Boos, director of the Frankfurt Book Fair. And we're going to get started soon, but of course there's one woman missing, the Federal Minister for Families, Young People and Senior Citizens. I'm very glad to see you, Lisa Paus. Welcome.
Mr. Schweikart, I think, well, the height of the microphone is perfect. Mr. Schweikart, Ms. Schmidt-Friedrichs, Mr. Boos, dear nominees, dear members of the jury, dear jurors, ladies and gentlemen. Books are ships which hurry through the wide oceans of the time, Francis Bacon said. On our beautiful yearly motive of Sidney Smith, books sail across the ocean. Yes, the German Children's Literature Award takes us on board to a voyage. Driven by a kite of books and a tortoise, well, Momo says hello, and we will distribute some Momo statues tonight. But let's take a look at the books in the limelight. They take us to the mountain, a river, the desert, space. They even take us into the past and into the future. We travel by rollerblade, train, or magic taxi. And nothing can prevent us from watching this. Everything counts, and everybody counts. Here we see the world in all its diversity. It's about working together, and it's about speaking with each other. Communication and enjoying talking to each other, this is what our living together is all about, across national borders. And language is the key to understanding and to settling conflicts. This is why I trust the power of stories, or, to quote Victor Hugo, the future belongs to the book, not to the bomb. It belongs to peace and not to war. The future belongs to the many young readers in this room. The youth jury decides which books are important for them. When it comes to the Literanauts, you already met them. They make sure that children and young adults all over Germany, irrespective of their background, have an inspiring experience with literature, and I'd like to thank you for this commitment. And I'd also like to thank the many experts here in this room who support young people in their enthusiasm for literature and make sure that they have access to excellent books. And I'd like to mention specifically our volunteer juries who made tonight's award ceremony possible. And last but not least, I'd like to congratulate the authors of excellent books, all our nominees. Maybe you feel as if you were in high seas because it's very turbulent and it means a lot of excitement and tension for you. But rest assured, you already heard this, the Association for Children's and Youth Literature, chaired by Ralf Schweikart, did everything last year to make your books well known all over the country. And this is why my ministry has been invested in the German Children's Books Award for more than 60 years, and we will continue to do so. In its independence, it's not only the biggest and most important award for children's books and books for young adults, it also is lobbying for the needs of young people and for the importance of literature. But prior to the award ceremony, I'd like to thank Frankfurt Book Fair and the Publishers and Booksellers Association, all publishing houses and all our partners. Thank you for supporting the German Children's Book Award and this event. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the tension is rising and I can only say, book ahoy. Thank you very much, Minister. And now we get going. So we will give the awards, hand them over for the different categories. We had 250 titles as a total. And for every award, we will have a prize money of 10,000 euro. 10,000 euro for the special award New Talents. This year, the award goes to illustrators, and the special prize jury picked the winner, and also the special award for the special winner, who will also receive 10,000 euro. Are you excited as well? Well, it's great. I love this atmosphere. Let's start with the picture book. And children climb up and down, go to the museum, visit a river, and big formats, small formats. Sometimes all formats are combined in one book, and they look at what does the family and society do. And everything counts. Here, the nominated books. Mountain, a day with Dad. A day father and child spend in the mountains, a lot to explore, overcoming dangerous situations. A waterfall is to be heard, and there is snow on the peak. Almost no words are necessary for this story. We have visual traits inviting to combine and associate and leading us into the family history even. Our pit. Our pit tells us something about the importance of unobserved childhood, how children take a place and play there and do something from nothing. And the adventure playground is a former gravel pit behind the gymnasium. Without any cliché, the picture book focuses on the instinct of children to find what they really need to play. A day in the museum. What a great day, this day at the museum. With the first-person narrator and their form, we go through the exhibition halls and look at the paintings. The book presents the museum as a place of experiencing something and meeting others, where art has a lot to tell us and opens a different type of access for people to meet each other. Everybody counts. With this exceptional Wimmelbock, it is about more than figures and counting. The striking characters act with each other in different locations. Short texts inspire you to browse, explore, come up with ever new stories and philosophizing about our living together. Once upon a time, and it will go on for quite some time. Billions of years ago, the land was shaped. This is the beginning of an aesthetic journey through space and time. In ever shorter time leaps, we approach the present. And what's next? Wish for something you can read in the middle of the book, and the journey continues in the direction of the future. I am like the river. A triad of text, picture, and typography in this moving picture book gives us a deep insight into the inner feelings of a stuttering child. Illustrations combine the wild features and beauty of the water with the feelings of a boy until they culminate in a gigantic panoramic picture. Thus far, the nominated picture books, and now it will be very exciting with the music and Rosalie, who brings the envelope, the golden envelope, which says picture book, Miss Paus. The German Children Book Award 2022 goes to the picture book, Our Kid. Congratulations to Emma Tuwage and to Friederike Buringer. And well, it's none of the two here. Emma is not here, and Friederike, the translator, had been nominated 4 times, and now she's the award winner, but she's under quarantine because she has corona. But Barbara Gelberg is here instead. Of course, Emma sends congratulations and says hello, just in case. This is what she told me. And she reminded me of the fact that children all over the world love to play. And we remember because once we were children as well. We like to play with others, we like to play on our own, but the greatest thing is to play with others. It's for free. It belongs to us, so let's keep it. And you just saw the children in the gravel pit. Stay here, stay here. There's nothing to see there. I just had it in my mind, you know. Well, I can hold the microphone for you so that you don't drop the statue. That would not be good. You saw the characters, the children, you know, and they really are, they look stubborn, and I really like this. How did you like these children? Not the sweet, nice children. They are great because they are as children are in reality. Yes, that's the truth about children. And this is why you have to love them even more, these little stubborn beings. And in this book, there's a question to the two of you. The children win because they don't do what the parents, safety-conscious parents, thought about, but they find a different location where to play. Is this the case in reality? I think so. Children play whatever when they let them play because they are the play experts. They can do much better compared to us. How can you provide a room or space for this on part of the ministry so that children are free of being controlled and being determined? Well, children, everybody can play anywhere, as a matter of fact. But if you look in the city, in rural areas, in the city, there is not a lot of space. You know, the car-based city is not really good for children. We once heard that playgrounds were only invented in the 1950s when there were so many cars in the cities. And it's understandable that in many cities, parents demand more space for children. We want to have roads with speed limits in the cities to give children a room to play. Thank you very much. Take a seat again and say hello to Mr. Buchinger. I hope her disease is not too bad.
Children's books. There are some disasters, natural disasters, and kids have to grapple with that. And sometimes the tricks, the absurdist tricks, will help. These are the nominees.
Hey, 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 Taxi.
Hey, 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 Taxi. With this book for reading out loud, we will really experience storytelling par excellence. All the stories start with the shout, hey, hey, taxi, and the first-person narrator steps into a taxi, goes somewhere, and then returns home to you. These are very gaudy, colorful, comic-like pictures in a pop-up style, in which the wacky impression which you may get. Schön wie die Acht, beautiful like an 8. It's about figures and formulae, which give the maths nerd Malte a feeling of security. But this is now suspended when previously unknown half-sister Josephine bursts into his previously ordered life. And the mood swings of the onset of puberty and very hot topics cannot be resolved using logics. That's what's found by Malte. Mein geniales Leben, my ingenious life. A 12-year-old Sigurd moves to his resolute grandmother Charlotte together with his mother and sisters, and until the beginning of school in 59 days, Charlotte is to help him revamping his image. The novel depicts an unusual cast of characters and especially builds a bridge between the generation of the grandparents and the grandchildren. Die Welt, von der ich träume, the world I dream of. In a future world destroyed by natural disasters, 12-year-old Samar wants to escape from her predefined female role. In a very clear and nearly austere language, this dystopia talks about a strong girl's character and about survival in an archaic world. Die Suche nach Pauli Fink, the search for Pauli Fink. Where the hell is Pauli Fink? This is the question which arises not just to the first-person narrator. She first feels marginalized because in her new school everything revolves around the absent Pauli. Nothing is predictable in this very strong novel, full of unexpected twists and anarchic moments. Half a banana and the order of the world. In this poetically condensed second-person narration, a girl struggles for her relationship with her older sister. The fear for her caused by her psychological disease and the suffering of the whole family are expressed in this monologue. These are the nominated children's books from last year for the Children's Book Award 2022 for children's books, and we have a golden envelope. Well, the German Children's Book Award 2022 goes to the children's book Die Suche nach Pauli Fink, Searching for Pauli Fink. Hansa Publishers.
Die Autorin Ellie Benjamin konnte nicht
The author, Annie Benjamin, could not come, but we have Jessica Komina and Sandra Klufinke. Just come to our midst, please. Into our midst. And congratulations. Well, congratulations indeed. Who would like to have the award? We've got two, actually. So we don't have to argue. That's great. So in this book, there's so much in it. It goes into the problems of puberty, then there is Greek mythology, then the ethics. It's about the meta levels of writing and how you tell plots. What is the thing which fascinated you most in this story about the search for Pauli Fink? Well, that's very hard to say because it's a very multifaceted book. To us, there was a big we were really motivated by the many style levels. There are so many styles you had to translate. For example, newspaper articles, interviews. What else was there? Emails, lists, which appeared there, chats also. So it's very multifaceted in terms of form, and also the children's language, jargon, basically, and also an appeal by the headmistress to the parents, and the Shakespeare challenge, which also features there. So at the school they have to speak like in the 16th century, and they do that fantastically, and this has been translated into German too. But the real topic of this book is the search for values and also how to find your bearings. How is this communicated at the school? Well, that's of course such a big question. Maybe you're looking forward to the prize. Maybe you would have some time to think about it. Well, they deal a lot with antiquity. They have the class humanities. Well, we don't have any discipline like humanities when we just called it that in this school in German. And there is this director, Max, who teaches this, for example, using Plato's parable, the cave parable, and Caitlin, who is a newcomer at the school, thinks that these kids are the same as people in a cave, or Plato in a cave. They've never been outside in real life. Because they're not being hassled and bullied, and they run around like they want to. Fiona has a power blazer. How can this be really implemented in German schools? Understanding for solidarity. Well, how could this be communicated at German schools? Solidarity, leaving people as they are, also the way they are dressed, for example. Well, this is what's actually being done. The problem of marginalization, that's of course also part of life in German schools, and that's why our anti-bullying projects at school, but my ministry also supports this kind of work. We support so-called respect coaches, and this goes back to our task of working harder for democracy. And there are trained teachers who then teach children to become multipliers, to live diversity and to think that diversity is a value, and anti-racist. If there are racist, anti-Semitic utterances, this is not okay, and that as a group you can fight against that, and together as a group you can set different standards. This is what's done by these respect coaches. I'm quite proud of this project. Well, you can be proud of this award. And please give our greetings to Ali Benjamin, the author. Thank you very much. Yes, a photograph, of course. That's the main thing. Well, that's enough now. Thank you. Because we have to come to the next category, because otherwise tension will just be unbearable. Now it's the young adult book. and kids and young adults are at the center of things. They have to grapple with a disease, war, or the last day at school. Normally, it was the fact that the mothers were hit, and this year is the fathers who are hit, and they find new values, and this really dominates everything. Let's have an overview over the nominated young adult books. Krummer Hund. There are some uncontrollable temper tantrums which determine Daniel's life, and nothing is safe in his presence, neither animals nor objects. This novel is impressive because of quite raw, merciless language. In short chapters, the author manages to present the rage and sadness of an unhinged young person in an unsentimental and sensitive way. Dunkelnacht. War is over. It's the morning of the 28th of April 1945 in the Bavarian town of Bensberg. And some people are quite sure of that, but others think this saying that war is over is undermining the armed forces and therefore a reason for summary execution. Kirsten Boyer manages to create a piece of commemorative literature which goes under your skin. Malagash. Malagash, this is the place where Sunday's family returns to. Her father will die of cancer and wants to die of cancer, but Sunday is obsessed with creating a lasting memory of her father, and Malagash talks about the importance of talking to each other in view of the tension between individual ephemerality and medial infinity. How you leave a space capsule. The suicide of his father throws the 16-year-old Will off kilter, and the novel doesn't just put a very sensitive person into the center stage, but also the music by David Bowie with the number 100. There are 100 chapters with 100 words each, creating a huge suspense phenomenon using rhythm and sound. Sanctuary, Flight to Freedom. The US in the year 2032, CCTV is very advanced. All the people who are documented carry an ID chip, and the others are persecuted. In this world, Valley and her small brother fighting for sheer survival in really tough language. The novel opens up a window into the near future, which hopefully will never materialize. Die Nacht so groß wie wir, the night as big as us. A last night together, the culmination and closure of end of a school career with 5 long-term friends who couldn't be more different, and the author takes the readers by her hand into a very fragile cast of characters and asks us to participate in this decisive moment of transition.
Thus far, the nominees of the young adult book, and Anton comes on stage. It's great, you know, to be full of tension, but not to have the risk to be affected. But at the end of the day, we are happy with those who won the award. Thank you, Anton. Well, tension is building up. The German Young Adult Literature Award goes to the young adult book Dunkelnacht, Dark Night. Kirsten Boye, join us on stage. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. May I say so to start with? 15 years ago, exactly 15 years ago, I stood here, yes, for your work, yes, for my work. And, you know, I didn't stop there. I simply continued writing. Because never before I had received an award for a single book, and I thought this is kind of fake, you know, for my achievement, and now the fake is over, so to say, and I thank you very much. But you will not stop, will you? No, I don't think so. This is your award. Very heavy, it's very heavy. Ms. Boye, we learned what your real motivation was to write this book. However, why did you write this very book? Because when you look at the book cover, you might think, well, a few books were written on this topic. Yes. Yes, but in young adult literature, there is not so much about the final phase and crime. And this is really terrible. How did you come up with this idea? I think at the Leipzig Book Fair in 2018, there is a very short paragraph about the Penzberg night of crime. During the first lockdown, when everything was prohibited, I called the archive in Penzberg, Bavaria, and they sent me a whole box of documents. I think they weren't allowed to do so. But, you know, I returned everything. And, well, why didn't you simply keep it? No, I didn't want to keep it. And afterwards, well, I had to write this. And I wrote the book because it had really moved me. And for many young people in Germany who are moving towards the right-wing extremism, this is what we are experiencing. And I fear in the current situation, maybe even more will turn towards the right. And I think it's really exciting to see how the misery of war entered this small town. So the right book at the right time, yes. You said the archive of Penzberg. Did you work with Bettina Rutz? How important was this archive for this book? What did you find, and how important are archives for your work? Well, I do a lot of research. When I write about the past, I do a lot of research work. And here it was crucial because there is a documentation about the court procedure against the perpetrators of this night of crime in 1948. And I have the statements of perpetrators, victims, and witnesses, of course. And the perpetrators, you know, they weren't aware of having done anything wrong. No. They all said we simply followed orders, but, well, they then appealed against the judgment, and then they left prison again. Well, but you said you received boxes of the minutes of the court proceedings. How did you manage to include this all in the book with only 200 pages? I don't know how I managed, but I knew I have to condense it. I think 400 pages wouldn't have had the effect I wanted to have here. Thank you very much, Kirsten Boye. And, well, you will continue, won't you? Thank you very much. Ms. Boye, wait a minute. We have to take a photograph first. So, please, a photograph. Well, I will make sure, and if third time we are not lucky, I will pay a round of drinks. Okay, so you have to hold the trophy up. It's called Momo. The role model is a famous character of a children's book. Well, maybe you can memorize this after so many years. Okay, so everything's fine. And nominated non-fiction books, the readers go into space or they travel by the Trans-Siberian Rail, they learn about grammar, they look at pictures, but watch for yourselves, the nominees. From Moscow to Vladivostok, a journey with the Trans-Siberian Rail. The fascinating journey starts with a map, which in 174 hours covers 9,288 kilometers through half of Europe and Asia. We see double pages looking into the compartments, looking at the different stops during this journey. The book is a bridge builder in the best sense of the word. Dogs in the future, a grammar in pictures. Is it really about grammar, the dry rules of a language, which normally doesn't make people enthusiastic? Every single one of the colorful double pages can be unfolded and gives you an insight into another topic. Really grabbing this in a playful and haptic way, in a wealth of imagination, convince people to think about language. Sehen. Visualizing, full of colors, and very nicely this non-fiction book shows that visualizing is more than just seeing something. In striking diagrams and short text, it combines in a playful way scientific and philosophical questions. The dashing non-fiction book is an appeal and an encouragement to look at the world in a different way. At the time, Dodo, about extinction and survival of the species. This large format, which looks bibliophile, invites us to travel through time. In the focus is Dodo, which supports our imagination. The book covers hundreds of years of natural and cultural histories, combining it to a holistic view. Filigree illustrations make us enthusiastic with their charm and their variety. Space, or the secret, how something cropped up from nothing. Space, infinite worlds, and a wealth of knowledge. Current scientific work, physical context, and philosophical approaches are explained with nice comparisons and verbal images. Extraordinary illustrations comment the text passages. The smell of pines, my family and her secrets. Can it really be true what Grandma Else says? We didn't know anything. Persecution, expropriation, deportation during World War II. She tells us she only heard about it much later. And Grandpa? Very private questions that the author then looks into in her autobiographic graphic novel. It's a contribution against forgetting. The nominated non-fiction books, and I mean, you want to take a bath in all these nominated books, they are beautiful and so interesting. Now Rosalie brings us the envelope with the award winner. The German Children's Literature Award for non-fiction books goes to The Smell of Pines. Bianca Childhood. Congratulations. This is yours. I can hold it for you. I don't want to hand it over. I don't know what people do with it. So, Ms. Schalburg, it's a non-fiction book about your family. How did your view of your family change after having written this book? Well, I very much approached my family. I gathered information via archives, and also when I talked to my uncle, who's a time witness, and he's 86 years old, and my son supported me. It was great to come more closely together and talk to each other. Your son helped you, and he appears in the book. You show a picture of him that you drew. So, what did it mean to you? Well, my son said, well, the nose is too big, you have to change something here, something there. So, well, with the lookalike aspect, it was a challenge. Apart from that, and he also corrected the text. So he then looked at the dates as well to find out whether they were correct or not. And I could take a step back. You know, it was really a private matter to me, and so the facts could be corrected by him. Well, I insist on this a little bit, similar to Ms. Boyer, because I think the work of archives is so important for the topics you deal with. What was your experience working with archives, and what about the quality of archives? Well, that differs a lot. Some archives were very helpful, reacted very quickly. We looked at microfilms. We had original documents in our hands. And, you know, I mean, everything was kept, even copy number 4. And also the smell of pines. I guess it has something to do with the smell. Oh, yes. And the paper smells as well. You know, I always enjoy it, no problem. And the graphic novel follows a color scheme. When I look at it, it's not precise because you have some differences. War years gray, 50s green, then pinkish or purple. Why did you pick these colors for these periods of time? The last pink, purple that was left over. You know, I didn't want to wear the pink glasses for a more beautiful present. But gray, well, and brownish because of pictures. The 50s in a light green, and then a yellow shade, and then more colorful after the war. And the 60s, the Cold War. This is what the book is all about, the division of Germany. And the wall, until the wall came down, Cold War. Yes, in the 1970s, I think all the wallpaper included some orange. Yes, my friend had an orange sofa. Yes, made of corduroy. Yes, thank you very much. All the best to you, and congratulations to you, Ms. Schalburg. Don't forget your Momo. And now a photograph. Now I don't want to forget.
Waren Sie in ganz Deutschland wegen der Archive unterwegs? Oder war das hier in Berlin? In Berlin, in Frankfurt. Sie müssen da eingucken.
Vielen Dank.
Thank you very much.
Nehmen Sie wieder, ja klar, nehmen Sie mit.
Let's take a seat.
Wurde Ihnen zugesprochen.
And take your prize.
Und zwar von der Kritikerjury.
It was awarded to you by the critics, the jury of critics, and the woman who chairs this jury and who's done the hardest job this year is the one I would like to ask on stage. The jury has viewed 700 titles and selected, discussed them, and this was Christiane Bentin, Stefanie Hetze, Rebecca Putzke, Michael Stiersdorfer, Ulrike Schöner, Dr. Dieter Wrobel, Dr. Renate Grubert, Dr. Marlene Zöhner, and the jury chair, Karin Vach, whom I'd like to ask up on stage now. Thank you.
Sie gehen natürlich in die Mitte. Das ist
Well, this is the moment of revealing the winners. So how long did you have to keep this a secret, and how does it feel to be able to reveal this and to talk to everyone normally? Well, the jury meeting, I think, was in September, and this is really the high point of our work today. In our meetings, we have done intense discussions and exchange views, and we actually had lots of arguments in order to arrive at the best books and pick the best books. And you cannot really imagine how precisely and with what level of detail we have had our discussions. You don't know that. You only know that once you've been with us in the same room. We didn't really take it easy, and we really take it very seriously. I would like to thank all my colleagues. I would like to greet Marlene Zürer, who could not be here today. But we didn't think this was we really went about this quite seriously. And of course, there are lots of people in this room who have not won the prize, but all the nominees, of course, are winners, obviously. Because they stand out from the annual crop, and they represent the diversity of the German book market. And in the end, there were 4 books remaining, and of course, they get the Momo. So what is particular, what is special about the winners? Well, we were surprised ourselves because across all these titles, there is a common thread. It's about the relationship between the individual and society. It's about the basic fundamental questions of human life, or human coexistence, and every title has of course, a specific language, text and pictures, and it is clear based on memory. Based on memory, we can shape the present and the future. And with respect to the current challenges for a democratic society, this is very important. How is this then translated in a children's book, this spirit? How does it is reflected in Unsere Grube, our pit? Well, that's a picture book which isn't really cute as many other titles in this category. It's not everything rosy, the weather's bad, it's dirty, and the kids are not cute either. But Emma Artborger has managed to use her own decorative language, really tell the story from the child's perspective and show that children can resolve conflict peacefully and inventively. They are in solidarity with each other, they respect each other and watch out for each other, and they shape their playgrounds. And this solidarity is also reflected in the book about the search for Pauli Fink, which is the winner's title from the children's book category. How is that reflected in that book, these values which are simply cherished by kids? Well, actually, it's a great story told perfectly. People are always, the reader is, surprised by twists and turns, by playing around with fiction, by the combination of different elements and types of texts. And despite this artfulness and craftfulness, is so possible to tell an exciting and thrilling story. And it is about coexistence indeed, as you say. It's about strengthening the individual and how the individual can be connected to the community. And the coexistence is also a main theme in Dunkelnacht by Kirsten Boyer. Why did you opt for this candidate? Well, Dunkelnacht is a masterpiece in terms of storytelling, in terms of the linguistic density, the conciseness, and the form. In the jury, we said Kirsten Boyer reinvented herself and it's actually a book which really stands out from all her works. It is special, as we just mentioned, because it reflects the latest, the last days of the Nazis, and it is sometimes being well ignored in German debate, and the readers can derive their conclusions as to how important democratic institutions are and what the sheer value of democracy is. Well, this is also present in the non-fiction book, the way people deal with the past or come to terms with the past. Let's carry on regardless. What is typical about that? Well, when the eyewitnesses die, the next generations have to find new ways of dealing with this, and Bianca Schalburg managed to do precisely that. She looked at her family history, her family's history, and it is much more than that. She turns the book itself into the object of her attention. She shows how research work works and how this network of lies, repression, and ignorance can be resolved. The book is full of facets in terms of its design. It is really well researched, and also it has a very comprehensive annex, and this makes this graphic novel an innovative non-fiction book. And this graphic novel also shows that graphic storytelling also is important for education and what it can do in terms of spreading knowledge. And what you can do as chair of the jury for children's books in this selection is what you just showed us now. Thank you very much, Karin Vach, for your volunteering work and also the volunteering work of the whole British jury and the orientation we are getting through this. In this very successful market. And now we'll come to the young jury who are back here. And the special about this young jury is that they don't just spend their time reading, discussing, and selecting as the critics jury do, but that they also perform this as a play, type of play. And in the juries, in the young jury, we have the Bamberg reading group, the Munich book readers, Berlin reading clubs, the Königstein reading club, and a club from Ravensburg. A round of applause for the kids. And the interpreters apologize, the play which is going to be performed will not be interpreted.
Boah, guckt mal, wie cool. Wow. Komm, Willi, wir machen ein Foto. Muss das jetzt sein?
Ja, komm schon.
Zeig mal her. Guck mal, wie du da aussiehst.
Was soll das denn?
Oh, wir müssen noch eins machen, komm. Aber nur für dich, Papa, okay? Will.
Was?
Willst du noch ein Stück von meinem berühmten Maisbrot?
Ich habe keine Zeit, ich muss los.
Ich hätte da bleiben sollen. Hey, alles ist gut. Nichts ist gut, weder bei dir noch bei mir. Sieh uns doch an.
Don't let the bastards get you down.
Wer bin ich eigentlich? Nadja? Oder Selmay? Warum musste ausgerechnet mir das passieren? Was ist meine Aufgabe hier eigentlich? Ich
bin so müde.
Na komm, los jetzt. Wir müssen die Lieferung bringen.
Hey, Selma.
Los, beeil dich da lang.
Hey, Nadja.
Schneller. Nadja, du bist jetzt der Mann im Haus.
Hey, willst du mit ins Kino?
Nein, willst
Morgen
du
vielleicht.
nicht. Du musst noch die Hausaufgaben machen.
Hey, deine Hausaufgaben.
Oh, danke schön.
Los jetzt, schneller.
Kommst du?
Mama ist krank. Du musst dich um Mama kümmern, los. Hey,
Bleiben?
und du wolltest noch den Brunnen reparieren. Wir brauchen doch das Geld,
Alles gut,
Nadja. Und deine Noten. Deine Noten. Schneller.
Hey, sorry.
Komm, hey. Hör mir zu. Hör mir zu. Es reicht einfach nicht, okay?
Ich bin so müde.
Flick, ich weiß nicht, ob es daran lag, dass du meine erste wirkliche Freundin warst oder ob wir tatsächlich etwas gemeinsam hatten. Ich konnte nie ich selbst sein, wenn ich um euch herum war. Travis, ich habe zwar gesagt, dass ich dich geliebt habe, aber ich habe dich immer angesehen als Eintrittskarte zu unserer Freundesgruppe. Naja, meiner ehemaligen Freundesgruppe. Du konntest unglaublich lieb sein, aber du konntest doch ehrlich gesagt ein ziemlicher Idiot sein, vor allem wenn du betrunken oder high warst. Casey, auch nach unserer langen Freundschaft bist du immer noch ein Rätsel für mich. Du wirktest immer so, als hättest du den Durchblick. Und mir gegenüber warst du immer kühl und reserviert. Und doch warst du die Einzige, die mir geschrieben hat, während meiner Zeit in Kanada. Auch wenn deine Entschuldigung viel zu spät kam und überhaupt nichts gebracht hat, habe ich mich über deine Nachricht gefreut. Wisst ihr was? Ich brauche euch nicht mehr.
Hi,
Hi,
dein Zeichenblock, du hast den fallen lassen.
Dankeschön.
Stör ich?
Ach nee, ich fange gerade eine neue Zeichnung an, alles gut.
Oh mein Gott, ich liebe deine Zeichnung.
Dankeschön.
Eigentlich wollten wir alle dir sagen, wie unglaublich mutig es wir von dir fanden, einfach so nach Kanada zu fliegen, obwohl du doch nicht mal das Land kennst. Bisschen dumm vielleicht, aber so mutig. Wir sind so stolz auf dich.
Dankeschön. Danke.
Hey,
Hi.
hast du das gezeichnet?
Oh ja, das war gestern.
Cool. Richtig gut gemacht.
Schau, das habe ich auch noch gezeichnet.
Das sind doch die Landschaften von letzter Woche, oder?
Genau.
Oh, krass. Cool.
Hey, wie geht's? Ich dachte, wir wollten zum Wasserfall gehen.
Ja.
Na dann, auf geht's. Oh mein Gott, was schön. Wie schön.
Zwei Tage vor Hitlers Selbstmord scheint der Krieg zu Ende zu sein. Die Alliierten haben München eingenommen und die alten Bürgermeister sind wieder eingesetzt. Die Nazis versuchen jedoch, diese Posten zurückzugewinnen. Gewaltsam.
Der Herr Biersack ist da.
Reithofer. Die Wehrmacht, sie ist überall. Sie haben das Rathaus umstellt. Niemand kommt mehr rein und raus.
Das ist mein Rätsel. Ich war doch eben noch dort. Ich habe mit dem Stadtkommandanten geredet. Er hat gesagt, die Stadtübergabe soll friedlich vonstatten gehen.
Soldaten. Scheiße.
Die Straße ist binnen 10 Minuten frei zu machen. Danach wird scharf geschossen. Schnell, du musst dich verstecken. Sie werden dich suchen, sie werden dich umbringen. Komm!
Oh, Marie, da bist du.
Schorsch!
Komm, wir müssen gehen, schnell.
In dieser Nacht wurden in Penzberg 8 Menschen erhängt und 8 Menschen erschossen.
2 weitere konnten schwer verletzt überleben.
Alle Namen, die in dem Buch genannt werden, sind die der echten Opfer.
Morgen. Liebes Geburtstagskind.
16 Jahre alt. Was für ein Meilenstein. Jetzt eröffnen sich wirklich Welten, mein Sohn. Du wirst immer unabhängiger werden und ich mache mir deswegen jetzt schon Sorgen, während du gerade nebenan im Schlafanzug Zeichentrickfilme schaust. Andererseits habe ich mir auch Sorgen gemacht, als du laufen gelernt hast. Das musste aber sein, genau wie alles andere auch. Gott, ich habe meine Ängste, ich würde es trotzdem gerne erleben. Wie auch immer, ich habe das alles schon mehrfach gesagt. Du weißt, dass ich dich liebe. Du weißt, wie sehr ich dich vermisse. Ich will dich nicht verlassen und auch deinen 16. Geburtstag will ich nicht verpassen. Und hier kommt dein Geschenk. Keine Ahnung, welche Ausrede sich dein Vater hat einfallen lassen, warum er dich ausgerechnet heute an deinem Geburtstag alleine lässt. Aber er ist in mein kleines Geheimnis eingeweiht. Dein Dad ist nach Nashville gefahren, um ein Auto abzuholen. Bei Grandma. Dort hat es die ganze Zeit auf dich gewartet. Morgen früh wird er zurück sein und ihr könnt es zusammen auf deinen Namen anmelden. Überraschung, mein Schatz. Herzlichen Glückwunsch. Ich wünschte, ich könnte dich am Steuer sehen, wie du den Arm um deine Freundin legst. Ich möchte den erwachsenen Mann sehen, zu dem du dich entwickelt hast. Mein kleiner Junge bist du jetzt nicht mehr. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, mein Schatz. Ich liebe dich. Mom.
Hey, was ist? Was ist passiert? Alles gut? Ich bin's, Eric. Hast du die ganze Flasche alleine getrunken? Wird schon. Ich rufe den Krankenwagen. Gott, das war so peinlich. Der hat sich so peinlich gestern. Oh, hi Sam.
Hi.
Hey, das war so schrecklich. Wirklich, wer hat ihn denn eingeladen?
Ich weiß es nicht. Ich glaube, der kam uneingeladen. Der war auf einmal da.
Ey, jedes Mal, wenn ihr auch nur einen Raum betretet, immer fangt ihr an zu streiten.
Ich kann ihn gar nicht leiden. Der ist so ein Arschloch.
Ja, also ich finde, der geht voll.
Nee.
Also,
Nee, nie und nimmer.
aber mal ein anderes Thema. Wir haben noch eine Aufgabe bekommen von unserem Lehrer, dem Inspektor. Wir sollten einen Aufsatz schreiben über Heartland. Wie fandet ihr das?
Boah, damit kam ich gar nicht klar. Das war super schwierig.
Ja, vor allem die ganze Handlung war so unlogisch.
Echt jetzt? Ich meine, es war nicht so schwer. Einfach lesen, wo ist das Problem?
Es war einfach von vorne bis hinten unlogisch. Ich habe es gar nicht verstanden. Es war ganz schrecklich.
Es war auch sprachlich super schwierig.
Sam, wie war es bei dir?
Ich weiß nicht, irgendwie... Danke. Heartland ist halt eine Coming-of-Age-Geschichte von einem jungen Mann. Also, er wird zum Mann erst, ein Junge, der erwachsen wird. Und die vielen Gedichte, die darin vorkommen, die verschiedenen, die sind auch toll. Und besonders dieses eine hat mir persönlich sehr gut gefallen, wo der Ball hochgeworfen wird. Und wenn er auf der Erde aufkommt, dann ist man erwachsen. Man muss den Ball also hoch genug werfen, um lange jung zu bleiben. Und das fand ich einfach mega schön. Und was ich auch cool finde und auch sehr schön finde, ist, dass endlich mal jemand es aus Grady zu etwas gebracht hat.
Das ist so ein Wunder.
Das stimmt, oh, ich bin so froh, Grady ist so beschissen. Ich bin so froh, wenn wir aus diesem Kaffee endlich rausgehen.
Ja, Grady ist einfach...
Als würde man auf einem toten Pferd reiten.
Freddy ist wie ein Pornokino in Zeiten der VHS-Kassette.
Grady ist wie ein Zahnarzttermin, wo man im Wartezimmer warten muss und nichts hat als Beschäftigung außer ein Sportmagazin.
Grady ist wie ein schlechter Popsong, den man aber trotzdem heimlich immer wieder hört.
Oh,
Sam.
Du hast das Spiel nicht verstanden. Du musst Grady beschimpfen. Der Preis der Jugendjury
The prize of
2022
the Young
geht an
Jury
Heartland,
2022 goes to
erschienen im
Heartland,
Diogenes Verlag.
Diogenes Publishers.
Frau Ministerin, lassen Sie sich vorstellen. Hallo, herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Welcome and congratulations.
Wie ist das, die eigene
So, how does it
Inhaltsangabe
feel
vorgetanzt zu
to
bekommen und
be
dann den Preis auch
shown your own
mitzunehmen?
book in the form of a dance? Well, I took for a brief while I thought I wouldn't win because I had tears in my eyes, but I could then come down and thank you very much.
Sie haben immer noch Tränen in den Augen. Ich bin
You
super.
still got some tears in your eyes.
Dabei ist dieses Buch ja
So,
überhaupt
this,
niemals
after all,
angelegt
this book has never been
gewesen als ein Jugendbuch.
designed as a young adult book, is it? So it's a coming-of-age story, obviously, but it's not necessarily been thought of as a children's book or a young adult book. I would never really draw a line there. I would never really make a difference.
Also das Schöne, was wir heute Abend erleben,
What we can see tonight is at times of war. A book fair is always a festival of peace, and what literature can do is to tear down the borders which are erected, and we can slip into the skin of other people. And the same is for literature, is true for literature. You can read Ishiguro or John Green at the same time as Sarah Bernhardt and all the other nominated books, and you can draw your own limits, but they are not really there, they are just virtual. And interestingly, it's frequently the young jury who go beyond these category limits and say, let's just nominate it. For example, in the past we had The Circle by Dave Eggers, which never really fit the pigeonhole, but the young jury said, no, let's take a look at that book. And apart from this ceremonial melancholy, which is the background feeling in the book, another background feeling is boredom. And the effect is that Sam thinks up a great activities, for example, walking through a cemetery and thinking up some biographies based on the birthdays. For example, Karl Hohenstein 1901 to 1973, a craftsman, who's played very hard in cards. He sometimes drank vodka, and then he died of a heart infarction. And so how important do you think boredom is, and does boredom still exist? Well, if I think of what made me engage in literature, I wrote this book also for the young person I was, the outsider I was, and it's nice to come back as an adult and finally have the word I didn't have at the time, and right this summer I couldn't have. Also because I was born later. Or, for example, literature was very important for us. It saved me, it showed me I'm not alone, and the kickoff was John Irving, Hotel New Hampshire, and I had this sitting in my shelf for a long time, but I only read it because I was so bored stiff, so let's read it. And that really changed my world, widened my mind, and that's why I'm so grateful for boredom. The evenings where I roamed the streets, so I'm really very thankful to boredom. But still, in this book, you're not talking about your own youth, because it's the 1980s. That was my youth. So actually, you wrote a book for me. But still, you are reaching out to the young jury of 2022. So do you have any explanation as to why these kids are so interested in the 80s? Well, not at all. I think this book is not based on my experience of the 90s, but the time I missed, the country I would have liked to grow up in. That was the basis for this book. But what unites all the books, all the nominated books I've read, that is that there are topics which are universal. Loss, loneliness, and love, and so on. And this is also the topic of this book. And if you are superficial and dishonest, then you can be misunderstood. But the deeper and the more authentic we are, the more universal we are. And I think that's really true for all the books. They treat these books, these themes, in a very authentic way. And it could have been any other book which would have won, because they were all very honest and very universal. Well, why 80s? Well, you also heard the last song, Space Age Love Song, and this melody is also the basis I could write upon. And I actually missed the 80s because I was born in 1984. I was born in the same week as the people who wrote Stranger Things, so it spilled over, but I could maintain illusions. I know the 90s, and they are shrunk to the small excerpt I've lived through. But the 80s, I didn't ever step into the 80s. But compared with the 90s, the 80s were simply better. I have to say that simply. No, you can't really say that. But at the end of the day, there are people who say, no, the 80s, they are terrible, but the 90s, I would love to write about that. That's what the young kids are going to do. They, I think they will come up with their own ideas, but they all look great. But I have one idea. I think you can give them all a high five, because they will be very proud of that. And also a round of applause for the young people's, young jury, rather.
Ach so, genau. Die Ministerin muss sagen, ja, machen wir einen kurzen Weg, oder? Applaus für Benedikt Welz. Nehmen Sie die Momo mit. Applaus für die Jugendjury. Genau, Fotos. Hochhalten. Und ihr könnt auch noch. Dankeschön, Jugendjury.
Thank you very much to the young jury.
Ja, genau.
Yes, exactly. They deserve a big hand.
Das waren jetzt die verschiedenen Sparten.
Thus far, the different categories, and this brings us to the new talents. And the award goes to somebody who published an excellent first book. This year it's about illustration, and here the nominees. Max Beitinger, nominated for the illustration of the book Sibylla. Sibylla Schwarz, a feminist German Baroque poetress, is in the focus of this extraordinary comic. Only a few lines and color concentration on black, brown and light blue show Beitinger as a master of reduction, aesthetics, clear line, and he uses only black ink. Markus Färber, nominated for his illustration of Fürchtetal by Christine Färber. Brother and sister talk about the loss of father, how he lost his mind and committed suicide. And we see more and more abstract dream images which leave a lot of room for interpretation. Pain and grief turn into a major poetic work of art. Mia Oberländer, nominated for her illustration of Anna.
Großsein ist nichts Großartiges.
Being adult is not great, and growing up is trying to climb a mountain. Mia Oberländer knows it from her own experience. By showing the different characters and exaggerating, for example, proportions of a body, she shows the feeling and acting of her female characters. Nominated for the special award of New Talents. And here comes the envelope. The special award for New Talents goes to illustrator Mia Oberländer. Congratulations. And with her on stage is the chairwoman of the jury for the special prize. Why did the award go to Mia Oberländer? I think we just saw this. Mia Oberländer's comic Anna expresses itself by a great type of image language. Mia Oberländer managed to find a very brave form of an image for a story which to some extent is her personal story. What touched us as the jury for the special award, Ruth Raut, Susanne Werner and Christoph Rieger are part of the jury. So we admired Mia Oberländer for depicting the discrimination processes by way of visual exaggeration. And she did so without reducing the individual and collective experience. Congratulations to you. So I'd like to follow up on this. It's not just about, as we saw up there, how as a tall person you can get through life, but also this emotion, this anger. You found shapes and colors. The book explodes, so you know this emotion, don't you? Yes, this is one of the reasons why I draw comics, because there are so many emotions I cannot express in words. However, drawing them here, I have more opportunities. You can have one outcry covering 20 pages, and you know, this covers more than text, because you think the outcry deserves it. And the same goes for anger. Anger needs space. Thank you very much. Congratulations and all the best to you. Congratulations, and we will stay here because we stick to the special award. A very, very special moment in this award ceremony where it's about life achievement, the life achievement of an individual who worked as an illustrator. And we have another envelope. Anton, please. Thank you. The special award, Life Achievement, goes to the illustrator Hans Ticher. Congratulations. Ms. Paus, maybe you can hold the Momo statue for Mr. Ticher. Congratulations. Of course, we want to congratulate you. But first of all, the laudatory speech. Okay, so each of us has a sofa for him or herself, and I will take the smallest one, of course. The special award for the life achievement illustration goes to Hans Tiecher. His image worlds show poetry, persiflage, and a great mixture of those two. We'd like to see a slide now. Yes, thank you. And his achievement shows the combination of energetic objects and colors, absurd scenes with grotesque characters, and sensitive typographical additions. Born in 1940 in today's Czech Republic, after his studies at the University of Arts in Weißensee, he illustrated 35 picture books, children's books, young adult novels, and non-fiction books, also with a lot of political satire, and his images are full of momentum. This goes for the depiction of people and plants and animals. Take a look at this illustration in Rainer Kirsch's book From Räuberchen, Rock and Ziegenbock, published in 1978 in the Children's Books Publishing House in Berlin. Even topography makes the picture turbulent. Look at how Tiecher combines the animal and the object, and the worlds of plants and animals become one. This is no intuition. This is a composition, high art of composition. Look at how the image and text levels in the picture book, the musical Rhinoceros, are interacting with each other. Look how the animals in the images and in between the images are put in relation to each other. How Tiecher depicts the animals and makes sure they have a great stage. And see how the artist makes sure that the animals are behaving in a peculiar manner. So apparently a parallel action takes place here. With Hans Tiecher, we give the award to a great artist who really shows great images which in a subtle manner reverse the proportions. In a project together with Rainer Kirsch, Tiecher translates the provocative title, today it's Topsy-Turvy World, into absurd scenes and then appeal to us to question what we think is normal. Be it in this picture, the situation between nature and traffic, or our perception of the world. And Tiecher has a very expressive language of imagination. And with the flower and the fish who tries to cross the road, we know now that the world needs transformation. Now let's take a look at Tiecher's illustration number 13, which is part of a poem by Quito Lorenz. This was published in 1978 in the Children's Books Publishers House. It's great to see how in this illustration the mouse next to the threatening cats leaves the house. And a masterpiece of art how the children then are shown in the center of the picture without listening to the angry adults. This movement, swimming against the tide, so to say, is the basic characteristic of Hans Tiecher in picture and young adult books. Motivation and challenge, as Mr. Hans Tiecher told me a few days ago, to help the children to survive in the time. And this is what his illustrations prove, because they show resistance. Resilient images in the content, shape, in the what and how. we'd like to congratulate Hans Tiecher and hope that many children and families will be able to enjoy his images and will become stronger by way of such images.
Ich halte Ihnen das Mikrofon hin, da können Sie ins Mikrofon reden.
So I will hold the microphone for you.
Ach so, das
Thank
wollten
you very
Sie
much.
unter zwei sagen. Okay.
Okay.
Dann machen wir das jetzt, was wir uns
Okay, so
in der Biografie,
in the biography or in the report on your life that you published on the occasion of your 60th birthday in 2000, you said, I don't think that any kind of literature should be illustrated. It's not always an enrichment. We should think about where an illustration makes sense. Does this go for children's books and books for young adults as well? Well, with a picture book, well, of course you need illustration, and it goes without saying. Picture book cannot be without pictures. When it comes to literature, for the older kids, it is a little more difficult. But in the former GDR, everything was illustrated to make sure that after 15 pages there was a short break. Well, reasonable idea, I guess. But apart from that, in fiction, well, illustrations, well, maybe not, but for fables and poems. But with novels, it is too complicated. Children as recipients of the art and their world, these were things that you always took very seriously. How did you express this? Well, how to say? The basic attitude, not of myself, but of my co-students, in the formal attitude, there was this opposition against the 1950s, which were so cute and sweet in illustrations, and that was it, I guess. The picture book, the illustration, was supposed to convince young people to read books and enjoy it. Illustration for children's books and books for young adults was not really censored by those in charge of culture. Did you use this kind of freedom? Well, it was rather strange that politicians only focused on the exhibitions where you only had 20 or 50 visitors. Illustration of books, well, they didn't really focus on that, fortunately so. And nothing was censored here, different from paintings or sculptures. Apart from illustration, typography, and haptic additions to books were taken seriously. Why? Well, I regard the book as one holistic object. And as far as possible, I always tried to also include typography in the design of a book, if the publishing house left me this liberty. What would you tell young talents, young illustrators today? Well, I wish them luck. Yes, well, we could all do with a little bit of luck. Well, I hope there will always be this leeway for illustrators, that publishing houses offer decent texts. And the economic part of it shouldn't be underestimated. That's also very important. Yes, and it takes some luck. Thank you very much, Mr. Tiecher. And again, congratulations to you. The Momo, we will bring it to you. And we need to take a photograph.
Ein Applaus bitte nochmal für den
And a big hand again for the special award winner for the Life Achievement, Hans Ticher.
Aber das sind die Profi-Tipps, ne? Frau Paus weiß es ganz genau. Bei jedem
Okay,
Mal einmal in die
Miss
Linse
Paus
gucken.
knows how to take a decent photograph. Listen to her.
So, jetzt hat jeder einen
Okay.
Blick abbekommen. Ja, genau. Wir bleiben hier auf der Bühne. Wir
We
gehen
will
gar nicht
stay
ab,
on
denn das war schon
stage
die Verleihung
because
des
this was
Jugendliteraturpreises
the award
2022.
ceremony of
Schön, dass Sie
the
dabei waren.
German
Schön, dass
Children's
Sie
Book
dabei
Award
waren.
2022.
Ich
It was
bitte
great
schon mal
of
so
you
langsam alle
to have you here.
Preisträgerinnen hier zu uns auf die
And
Bühne.
I'd like
Wenn
to
Sie
ask
mehr
all
über
award
diese Menschen
winners to
erfahren
join us
möchten,
on
dann können
stage.
Sie
If
das
you
morgen
want to
Vormittag
know
von 11 bis
more,
12, da gibt's
you
eine
will hear
Gesprächsrunde
more
mit allen
about the award
Preisträgern
winners
im Gallus Theater
between
und
11 and
von
12 in the
Dr.
Gallas
Karin
Theater. The host
Es
will be
gibt auch
Dr.
eine
Karin
Gesprächsrunde mit
Vach.
zwei Menschen aus
And
der
there will also be a discussion with two members of the youth book jury and with Kirsten and myself on the blue sofa on Sunday. And there will be information on the website of the association, including photographs and so on. But where are you? All the award winners, please join us on stage. Everybody else may leave now. Thank you very much. Have a safe trip back home. And in the lobby, we offer you a glass of wine. Have a great evening. Thank you for having been our guests.
Ja, natürlich. Ja, Sie haben eine Murmel in der Hand. Ne?